Hello, 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 and welcome to Cutscene Combos episode. I don't even know what episode is
39.
this? 39. Holy shit! This
Yeah.
week we have got a character profile on Skaar, Rings of Power finale for season 1, Andor episode 7. Another character profile on Atom Smasher. Our final thoughts before the new Black Adam film comes out tomorrow or today, as you're listening to this. And then we've got a big beefy Nerd News Network segment this week with lots of things that have come out. And then the Super Showdown this week is Ultron versus the Demogoblin.
I like how
But
you've
before
given
all of that,
the news section a proper title now.
yeah. Well, you see, the thing is, the way you title the segments, one week we had a proper long section on news stuff, and you just titled it Nerd News.
Because I was just too lazy.
Yeah, and I'm a sucker for alliteration.
Of course you are.
And I think I'd seen a meme or something as well about like the Twitch news network or something, where like like something happens anywhere on Twitch, and then everyone's just spamming it in the chat.
Yeah.
So I was like Nerd News Network, and I thought with such a beefy week of news, that was just the easiest subtitle for it.
Yeah.
It was supposed to save time, but before all of that, Hori, how was your week?
My week's been good, pretty chill. New World got a new expansion, so I've been playing a bunch of that. It's wild that game came out a year ago.
Is that game really a year old?
Yeah.
And I still haven't played it.
So it was a year ago when we were there was a bunch of us still in lockdown because there was like, we were all playing New World on release, which is wild that it's...
You were, well, I wasn't.
Well, yeah.
I wasn't invited.
Well, you didn't have a PC then. It's wild that that's been a year. Feels way longer than that.
The time dilation from the pandemic is outrageous.
It's mental. Other than that, just work things. Pretty chill week. The Rocket League boys won their first regional of the year.
I saw that.
Which was pretty pog.
Yeah.
So as long as they do well enough at the next regional, they'll be pretty much locked in for Rotterdam. So then fingers crossed I get to go.
Nice.
This is the hope.
That's good.
Yeah, pretty chill week for me. How have you been?
Not too bad. I'm still in like just numb, blank, expressionless human. Hence why I literally got in from work today and had to watch both Ring of Power and Andor before we recorded tonight, because
you only just watched Ring of Power as well.
Yeah. Days are slipping away from me, and I was like, shit, I have so much to catch up on. But that is the way things be at the minute.
Yeah.
Is what it is. We muscle through because we don't have much else of a choice. I've just realised though.
Oh.
This was my new Spider-Man comic that arrived the other day. Sorry, I sound probably horrible because I'm all coldy. I don't know if the camera's picking that up because the reflections, but that is the return of the Hobgoblin.
For a second, then I thought, at a glance, I thought that was a Demogoblin. And I thought you'd scoured.
That's a new comic.
I thought you'd scoured for a comic so you could understand this week's.
That would be a very, very me thing to do. However, that is not what I did.
Very cool, though. Is that a Halloween?
No, because I think it's a little bit back-ordered.
Oh, okay. Has a very Halloween-esque. For the viewers and not the listeners, you'll have seen the comic. It looked somewhat Halloween-y.
Yeah.
But...
yeah. Talking of listeners, while the Spotify is not something we spend a lot of time on, or the Apple Music, or like just the audio-only platforms, we are every week having more and more viewers over there. So shout out to you guys who just listen and don't want to stare at our faces. I respect it.
I mean, I don't blame you. My voice is nice to listen to.
So while we always remember to tell the people on YouTube to like the video, make sure you give us a rating over there. We will see it, and we might even go through your review if we get one that we like and is funny. Anyway, I think it's time. we stop beating around the bush and get into our first character profile of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So after the She-Hulk finale last week, I said I almost just scrapped my Black Adam character profile
Yes.
and decided to do one on Skaar because of how exciting it was. But then I decided to be a responsible adult and not double up my workload for no apparent reason. So I decided to double
What's
up
that
this
for?
week instead. So character profile on Scott. There's not a load here, but it's some interesting stuff. And you guys will notice some differences already between the comic book counterpart, other than
Oh.
just the much worse haircut in the show.
Have you
So
oh, that's right.
Scar first appeared in World War Hulk #5 all the way back in November 2007.
Not too old.
Scar is the son of the Hulk and Kyra the Old Strong. After his mother's death, he was found by a man who raised him. However, because of his mix of biology between the Hulk and his mother's race, he like aged and grew at a rapid rate.
Okay.
So, like 6 months after being born, he looked like a teenager, kind of thing.
Got you.
So, don't be surprised if the next time we see Scar, he's like not looking like a 16-year-old and is looking like an adult.
Oh, that would be weird.
However, because of his accelerated aging and growing and everything, he became very difficult to kind of mentor and be a parent for. After a lot of, I'll be honest, very confusing shenanigans on his home planet, he kind of got exiled to Earth, where he kind of crash landed.
Nice.
And the Fantastic Four, who at the time had She-Hulk on the roster,
Mm-hmm.
were kind of like sent out to see what the fuck was going on. Because, or not sent out, sorry, She-Hulk could sense him because of their shared genealogy.
Okay.
And she was like, we should go check this out because that's terrifying that there's another one of us just in the middle of the country all of a sudden.
Yeah, Hulk out of nowhere.
Yeah. So the Fantastic Four went out there to fight him. It was very difficult, but they did manage to beat him, and they thought they'd killed him.
Oh.
However, he had literally been beaten into his human form. So they didn't realize they were looking for a human.
He has a human form.
Yes. Not human.
Okay. Human is in standard
Not
race.
Hulk form.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's still, like, obviously not wholly human because his mother was an alien. So he kind of hid out for a little bit, pretending to just be a human. He made some friends with some kids and kind of laid low because I believe this was the first time he'd ever been in his human form.
Okay.
But then eventually he became Scar again and went to kill his dad.
As you do.
Because he thought that was his ultimate test to prove how worthy a warrior he was. And then he was greatly disappointed when his father turned out to just be like a savage, raging monster and not a competent fighter and like being.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, after a fight with his father, like, and he was like just unimpressed wholly and just kind of left. He kind of just went, well, fuck this, I'm off then. And went to just kind of be a bit of like a Hulkish anti-hero for a bit. Just kind of leave me alone, but I'll help out when people are really being punished for no reason.
So his teenage angst stage.
Yeah. But eventually the Hulk / Bruce lost their powers after Red Hulk kind of took them from him. At which point they did reunite, and Banner then helped to teach him a lot of what it takes to be a Hulk and how to be a hero and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at this point when Bruce had lost his powers and they started working together that Skaar finally became something more recognizable as a hero.
Okay.
And he would go on to serve on a number of different teams at different times. So yeah, I believe he's also now our last legacy character.
Oh.
Not like last and we'll never see another one, like last to like of the original 6 having a legacy character in the MCU. I know we haven't seen Ironheart yet, but we know she's there.
Yeah,
So we've
good
got
point.
Yelena, Sam, Love, I guess, would be Thor's legacy character.
Yeah.
Kate, Riri, Skaar.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Maybe we get an announcement of a Young Avengers film at some point.
We can hope.
So yeah, that's all we've got to say on Scar. It was very cool to see him in the She-Hulk finale. His haircut's been absolutely fucked. The designs of like just literally people changing their hair. So like I don't know if anyone who listens to this watches wrestling. But if you look up Roman Reigns
I
and
think
look
I've
for
seen this.
yeah,
I saw
if
a
you look at
picture of someone who
yeah,
fixed his hair.
if you look at a picture of Roman Reigns when he's wrestling, he's got quite long black hair that looks quite wet. That's kind of what Scar's hair probably should have looked like. A bit thicker and a bit more of it. But that kind of style is probably what will work best with Scar. But I'm okay with the idea of that not being the case just yet, because Scar is like very clearly supposed to be quite young. And
he's
he's definitely
from
been
a
like
different planet.
dressed up to meet family, so he's probably anxious. So I'm okay with it as long as like they sort it out for the next time we see him.
I feel like it's going to be because of whoever his mum is, because we don't know that. Bless you. For
Thank
the
you.
listeners that thankfully couldn't hear that.
I remember to mute my mic.
Yeah.
I'm smart. I got you.
I mean, depending who his mum is, and I guess the car like fashion has probably dictated how he has done his hair. So
Yeah.
I imagine it will evolve and change.
They did fuck his trim up though.
I mean, it's fine. It's a pretty standard thing when you're a kid at that age to like your parent force you to get a haircut that looks terrible. Like your kids, those kids that come into school with like a full on bowl cut, and you're like, shouldn't could have really done better there, mate. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting though because he obviously hasn't been he hasn't been exiled the same way. I wonder if it's like he was exiled by Hulk had to go pick him up.
Yeah, I'm really curious if the Hulk film that we're assuming is coming that hasn't actually been confirmed but has been teased relentlessly is going to have to be a flashback film or not.
That's a good point.
I don't know how we can have a World War Hulk film without
explaining.
Yeah, and with Professor Hulk, it just doesn't work.
I
kind of assumed Bruce disappears in episode 3. We don't see him again.
Yeah.
And then we get a World War Hulk film, which is him after arriving on Skaar going full on savage.
I wonder if whatever the film is, it's like the opening is like X amount of months ago, and it's him arriving on the and they do like the opening sequence is like a bit of a flashback, and then it goes back to present day.
Maybe, but we will see. Like I said, there's still no guarantee of actually getting a Hulk project.
This is true.
But on to our second finale in as many weeks.
Oh yeah, it's made this week empty.
I'm a little bit annoyed with like the first minute of this week's episode.
Okay, I'm trying to remember the first minute.
Because the cultists like get to the stranger and they call him Sauron, and they're like, "We've got you, Lord Sauron." And at that point, I instantly sat there and went, "So he's not Sauron then?" Because they were never going to give up Sauron in the first minute of the episode at the end of the first season. It was never going to happen that way. So the second they said, "We finally found you, Lord Sauron," ruined it. So I was like, well, he's definitely not Sauron then.
I maybe didn't have like quite a stronger reaction, but I definitely was like, I never had thought he was Sauron. I was pretty confident he wasn't. So I was like, when they said that, I was like, more to me, I was just like, ha, you're going to be proven wrong because he isn't. Because I was so confident that he wasn't.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if they'd just kidnapped him and they were, and like for the most of the show, they'd left us umming and ahhing about why they wanted him, and then they go, "Your Lord Sauron," like half an hour in, you might go, "Oh shit." And that might have a genuine chance of making some people genuinely believe that instead of instantly going like me and like you going, well, no, he isn't.
True.
That's my issue. It's poor writing. That's what it was. It just makes no sense in the first minute to give up a big reveal like that because, no offense, only a dumbass is going to assume that that's actually right.
I don't know. I wasn't too fussed. My bigger issue with like the cultists and stuff is like they're just not. We don't like from how over-explained the mithril stuff was, and like I talked about that and how like they talked about it, like kind of explained where it came from. This had like zero explanation of who these cultists were.
And I mean, they were cannon fodder.
Yeah, there was just like a way to reveal. It was just a way to kind of explain a bit more of who the stranger is, and we'll just like focus on the stranger. But like, obviously,
yeah, we'll do each of the stories.
He doesn't like they explain that he has a veil over his mind. Fine with that. That kind of makes sense to like why he's not understanding shit and like he's confused, and that they'll break it or whatever. And then obviously the hobbits dive in to save the day. They then realize he's not Sauron and he's the
Istar wizard.
Yes, which is the wizards, and he fights back and absolutely.
So are you now all in on him being the brown one who was obsessed with animals?
Not so.
I'm still pretty big on he's probably supposed to be Gandalf because he's got a hobbit going on an adventure with him.
There's a lot of kind of subtle hints that they keep dropping that is they're clearly wanting the viewer to go, this is Gandalf. Like, that's very much their point. And I'm
because he also talks very like once he's got a bit more of his mind and he can have a proper conversation.
Yeah, no.
He talks very English.
Yeah, the people have said that. There's that. There's the thing he says to the cultists is something like "Go back to the shadows," which we were like trying to link back to how he tells the Balrog to go back to the shadows. Obviously, he turns them into moths, and he has this whole thing with animals. And then the big kind of thing that everyone's going, "Oh, this is Gandalf," is the whole line about when they're at the end when they're getting ready to leave. And go find out, like, go on this journey with Nori. Yeah. He's like, I don't know which way. Oh, it's this way. And she goes, how do you know? And he's like, oh, always follow your nose, that thing. Which is obviously just like what Gandalf says in Lord of the Rings, always follow your nose. So.
But here is my only potential counterpoint to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to get your thoughts on this, because obviously we've already established you know a lot more about Lord of the Rings than me.
I'm ready.
Is it possible, bearing in mind that they can make up their own characters? And we've already said it's a touch early for even the blue wizards to be showing up. Is it possible this could be a character that doesn't actually exist in the books? A wizard who appeared before all of the other wizards and was actually like the grandfather of wizards, and each subsequent wizard got a little bit of him. And that's why you see things that make you think he's potentially different wizards.
I think if they did that, they really would piss people off, because the wizards are a pretty like important, like they were sent because of Sauron and the rising evil, so they were sent for like a pretty solid reason. And I think if you start fucking with that and making up like a new wizard, it kind of fucks with things. I'm partially like of the thought of like, yes, there's these hints of Gandalf, but if you think about it, we've only ever really experienced Gandalf the most. We saw some of Saruman, and Radagast Brown, he was like crazy by the time we saw him. It isn't far off that like that's just kind of general characteristics of how the wizards are going to be. This very much could be Saruman super early on because he was good at the beginning. The timeline stuff, because they're condensing everything.
You're not putting too much stake in it being too early.
No, I'm not too fussed if it's too early, like if it's earlier than it is told in the books. Something on the timeline stuff, which I saw recently, was there is a note in the back of the Silmarillion books from Tolkien, and it's something along the lines of, these are the stories of the Second Age, but they can be retold in a shorter form. Basically going like, these are not set in stone. These are not to the word like how they should be. They can be told in a longer format. Like, these stories can be told in many different ways. So basically goes, Amazon's not wrong in a way for doing it how they want to do it. They can.
Fair enough.
So my opinion is, I don't think he's a blue wizard because the blue wizards, there was two of them and they arrived together. I'd be surprised. I think if you're going to reveal the blue wizards, you'd do them as a pair so that people put that together.
Or at the end of this episode, you get some kind of flash that actually during the meteor shower, another meteor did land.
Yeah,
and that they were both like trying to find each other without realizing it.
So he is heading to Ruin to find out more information. I don't think he's the first to arrive. If they've done Gandalf, I think the blue wizards are already here and they're over somewhere else. Or he is Saruman. I'm like 95% leaning towards Gandalf because of the way they're hinting things, but I'm also ready for it to not be Gandalf. And they're like, haha, actually, it's one of the blue wizards.
Should we be concerned that potentially they don't know who it is yet?
No, I think they know who it is. They 100% know who it is. They just don't want to say. And if I'm Amazon,
do you think the actor knows who he is?
Yes.
Or do you reckon they're giving him little bits of like everyone to throw him off?
I think the actor knows.
Because that's what I'd be doing. I'd get him to like watch and read about all of the wizards and like do a take of each scene as making him think he's each of the wizards and then throw them in together and see what you get.
I think the actor knows. Only the actor and the director and the like head writer or something. And it's like, the actor knows because he needs to know who he's becoming. But he'll be the only person like out of all the actors that knows, so that if it leaks, they know it's from him.
Makes sense.
From a not like a Tolkien story perspective or anything, from like a marketing perspective for Amazon, it fully makes sense to me for them to do it as Gandalf and for him to become Gandalf, because it's a very instantly recognizable character that people who don't know much about the show or aren't so sure are like, oh, Gandalf's in it, I'll watch that. Which is why I think it's going to be. But I mean, we'll get onto it later, but they've already proven with some twists they're happy to chuck some twists at us, so
yeah,
it could be anything.
Overall, how did you find the finale? Did you enjoy it?
Overall, I enjoyed the finale, and overall, I enjoyed the whole season. There's small bits that have grievances.
Until the next one.
So this is
they're not making us wait a full year, are they?
So it has started. From my understanding, they have started production not long ago. This season 1 took 18 months, but obviously but obviously that was during a pandemic. So there is some delays that probably were caused by that. The writers and Amazon and whatnot have said, obviously they want to get this out as soon as they can, as quick as possible, so the gap's as short as possible. But they are more than happy for it to take longer if it means doing it right. So like, they're not going to rush it for the sake of getting it out in under a year.
Okay, so what it sounds like to me is they'd like to release it in 9 months, but it's probably going to be 15.
I make the prediction it's end of 2023, maybe early 2024. Like that period of like 4 months or whatever is what I think they're going to be aiming for. But I'm not against it.
The last thing we need is another thing in 2024, Hori.
True.
At this rate, me and you in 2024 are just going to be bed, watching TV, cinema, bed, repeat.
Sounds perfect what you're about.
Yeah, apart from the fact we have to remember and say stuff about it, Hori.
But yeah. So I mean that's the stranger kind of story. There's obviously Nori and the hobbits saved them. We got to see some shape-shifting, which I thought was very cool, how they did the whole shape-shifting stuff.
Yeah.
The whole hobbit going on an adventure, I
liked it.
I don't mind it. It feels a bit
too on the nose.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels a bit like it's Gandalf and a hobbit going on an adventure again. It's like
But that's what Lord of the Rings is.
I know. It's just
I know there's other stuff and there's dwarves and elves and shit, but at the end of the day, the world of Middle Earth is a hobbit and a wizard doing shit together.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be okay with it if this is how they then set up the Shire. Is Gandalf and Nori have to go find where everyone is, and they find that they've settled somewhere. And if that's how they then set up the Shire, cool.
Well, here's the thing. I think they kind of explained that. So you had Penny getting all upset because, why does everyone always leave me?
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of hinted that she's going to be like leading the pack.
Yep.
I reckon she gets so fed up with people leaving her. She's like, no one is leaving anymore. We live here. Everyone stays here.
Yeah, I think
Shire.
I think they're gonna travel for a bit. Now they have like no cart stuff, and they're just gonna go, you know what? Sack this. Let's just settle. But overall, from Stranger being revealed to how it ended, I like the whole like him figuring out who he is and the reveal of him being an actual wizard, and the like you mentioned, the way he speaks and everything. I think it's great.
He's a lot more Gandalf-esque once he can hold a sentence.
Now we have like the actual character. I think he's gonna be interesting for season 2.
100%.
On the other side of the map, we had Galadriel arriving at, I forget what the city was called.
It's not Linden, is it? It's the other one.
No, it's the Elven Craft city.
Yeah.
Arriving with haste, with Halbrand like slumped, almost falling off his horse.
They rode for 6 days.
Yes.
And he was fine instantly. Is that not a red flag?
So
people were a little bit slow.
So obviously we get the show of him being like tended to, and then Galadriel's like, "Hi, surprise! I'm here, not in the Oasis land." Which Elrond's like, "What the fuck?" So they have their little like. Elrond's like, "I should have trusted you," blah blah blah. And then we cut to Celebrimbor in his workshop, of which, as you say, suddenly there's a Halbrand walking around. And I'm just like, even I was like, really? You're up that quick? And I know elven medicine's good, but...
But even like Celebrimbor mentioned, he's like, should you not be resting? And he's like, no, I'm fine. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, I'm like...
We already know the stranger isn't Sauron because of like, common sense. Hello? Character that we don't know about fully yet, who's been a bit weird, done suspicious shit, is just fine. Hello?
So, at this point, I'm so convinced he's not Sauron because of all the things we talked about over the week.
Semi-overlook it.
Well, yeah, I hadn't gone, hang on, this. I was like, this is weird. I know, to me, this was more like, this is just bad storytelling. Like,
Honestly, I think had at the very beginning of the episode they not called the wizard Sauron and made me instantly go, well, he's not Sauron then, I might have overlooked it. I might
yeah.
have overlooked Halbrand as just bad writing, but because of that, I looked at it, I was like, well, he's got something to do with Sauron then. He might not be Sauron, but he's a fucking acolyte or something.
So then we get him talking to Gillenbrimbor, and he like talks about techniques on mixing the metals and stuff. To which we then cut to Gillenbrimbor's talking about doing a crown for the High King.
The High King.
And they're talking about, and then he says, "This is where it clicked that was something's wrong." Was when Gillenbrimbor was like, I want to create something not of the body but over the body or whatever, which is the same line that Adar mentions Sauron was trying to do. And I was like, hold up, that, because so then at this point I'm like, Gillenbrimbor, are you the sus person here?
That darkness is getting a bit strong, buddy.
I'm like, who the fuck is influencing you?
Yeah. Well, Halbrand, his influence has got stronger because he's closer to him.
So we get all that, and then obviously Galadriel's starting to not. After that line, even Galadriel's not trusting what's going on, and she looks into his lineage.
Which someone should have done a lot fucking sooner, I might add.
Yeah. Everyone really just took his word for it.
Yeah, she was so happy to just rock up to the Southlands and go like, here is your king, and then fuck off.
Yeah.
If Mordor hadn't erupted, she'd have just left.
Well,
it also means Halbrand definitely had something to do with the key not being properly recovered or checked on.
Yeah. There's obviously there's a lot of trickery been at play. So we obviously then get Galadriel finds out and confronts him, and we get the reveal of who Halbrand was, which I obviously, like, all these little things have been building up, and it's like it's clicking that, oh shit, it's like Halbrand's not who he actually says he is. And then he, like, the way it's revealed where he's like, I was born before light and all that from the start of time. I've had many names. And then they do the whole like vision stuff, which I thought was
I really enjoyed that.
I loved it all. The way that they revealed him as Sauron, I thought was incredible. The whole
I also loved the reflection.
Yeah, so when they switched to the raft and he's telling her to be his queen, which we kind of got a glimpse. If you remember in Lord of the Rings, do you remember when she like looks at the ring that Frodo has and she goes into like evil witch mode?
Yes.
Everyone's like, well, that's what she would have become if she'd been his queen. Like the power that he was offering her would have turned her into that. And obviously, at this point, she hasn't had that vision, but I guess she kind of realizes she doesn't want that power. And we get the very cool reveal in the reflection.
Yeah, that was such a cool shot.
Excellent filmmaking from them with that. Yeah, and then we also get like the transition to his eyes become slits now.
Yeah.
Very cool little like touches. And then she's brought to by Elrond, who she doesn't trust, and gets him to prove himself, which is fair. Should have done that a lot sooner for many things. Now the thing
she's
that
only like 7,000 years old. Give her a break.
Yeah. So she rushes back and says, "No, we shouldn't make 2 crowns. One crown can be. One crown is too powerful. 2 can be
one that will always be corrupted.
2 can be divided.
2 can be divided. 3 brings balance."
Yeah. So then she's like, "We should make 3 rings." What I'm not like, I don't know why she doesn't tell them. She just says Halbrand's not going to be around. He's gone, and don't trust him again.
Is that some kind of weird, like, I don't want to admit I fucked up thing?
I don't know. Possibly.
Because that seems like a really weird hill to quite literally die on.
I think. So here's the thing, right? Which this is another thing that I'm a bit iffy on about this finale is the whole creation of the rings. Love the way that they did the creation, that they visually showed the creations. I thought it was great. I loved it. And like I get them making the 3 elven ones. There's a slight deviation from the books here. Because when they come to make the 3 so the 3 elven rings are crafted after they realize about Sauron's influence in making the other rings that should have been made first, which is the 9 for men and 7 for dwarves. And they figure out that Sauron's been deceiving them. Basically, there's a story in the Silmarillion where Sauron presents himself as a character called Anatar. And that's how he infiltrates into the city and Celebrimbor, and he presents himself as this other character and helps with the creation of the rings and helps influence the creation, and then gets caught out, and Galadriel and that realize it's Sauron, to which then he obviously flees or whatever. And then they
so
make
it's accurate, just in the wrong order, kind of.
Of sorts, yeah. Like, so the 3 elven ones are then made without his influence, which is why he then has to create his one ring to like, but he can't influence. His one ring doesn't influence the elves, but it influences the other rings. Obviously, so that's why he's like gone and not there for the creation of them, which is fine. I think them, like her not telling them, is to try and make sure there's like 0 influence. Because if she told them Sauron was Halbrand, they'll go, oh, so we shouldn't create what he's just told us, help me create, maybe. But yeah, I'm not so sure. Like, if they turn around and say the other rings are already made, I'm kind of like, that's kind of shit, because I want to see them be made.
Yeah, like, forgetting, like, that we wouldn't get to see them, which would suck. The elves couldn't work it out. How have the humans and the dwarves worked it out when we know where Sauron's been for the entire time?
Well, the dwarves and then the men don't. I don't think they learn that the rings were made by. I don't think they tell them that they were made by Sauron. But like,
no, but like, how would they work out to get the mithril and turn it into the alloy and stuff?
This is what. So I'm presuming they're doing it in a different order, which I'm okay with. The problem with that then presents is Sauron's meant to help create those other rings. So he's going to have to return. Now, the one way around it is, because they've wanted to do it in this order, they've used the Halbrand character because that's made up. They've used him as a way to do this, and then they're going to do the Anatar character still in season 2, and he returns as someone else and looks completely different because he can shapeshift.
Or maybe they don't necessarily use Anatar, but they create another character.
Possibly.
Because like they've clearly gone for Halbrand instead of Anatar, so that people watching don't instantly know.
Yeah.
So that they can build a bit of suspense. So maybe they do a similar thing for the next season.
Possibly. Or they do just have Halbrand return and like Celebrimbor's wasn't told it was Sauron, so maybe he decides to trust him. That was like one of my gripes with this, like the finale. But overall, like I really enjoyed the reveal. Like the whole like Halbrand working with them, and you got to see like he was quite clearly showing his influence on how to do things. The rings look sick. I think they look great. They're slightly different in visual to the Lord of the Ring ones, but I don't mind that. I like flavor. I'm trying to think what else kind of went down. But yeah, they're obviously gonna.
Is the king dead?
No. So he was going back to the Elven City to basically prepare everyone to leave.
No, not the High King. Sorry, the King of Numenor.
Oh Yes, so there's all the Numenor stuff as well went down. So yeah, we get like shots of the kings not in good health, and
Yeah,
then
his mind is scrambled by the time stone thing, and he doesn't know what's when and where.
yeah, and then Elendil's daughter's there sketching him, and he thinks she's the queen and opens the door. Who we never see her again. So did she look like she removed the
Yes,
cloak? But
she looked.
like, what the fuck does she do now? She's seen that. Like,
Yeah, I can't help but feel like that's a very like big thing for a character who didn't exist before the show to be doing.
I mean, I'm okay. Like, she's obviously going to play some part in the civil unrest that happens. But yeah, we get the Numenor ships arriving back, which we get, I think, actually a good moment between Elendil and the Queen. Because you remember the last episode, we talked about how Elendil kind of had this weird moment where he's kind of broke down. It was very weirdly done and kind of showing a bit of lack of faith. They've completely like kind of in a very good way, I think, reaffirmed like him and the Queen like really said, okay, we are fully faithful in time. The worst times is when it's like the strongest time to be faithful.
Yeah.
And kind of relocking his character that he is a faithful character like he's meant to be. So obviously that's going to lead to like him returning to Middle Earth. And then yeah, that we arrive in Numenor and there's black flags everywhere marking the death of the king. So I think Numenor is going to be very interesting in season 2 because we won't have the shit going on with Galadriel and Halbrand. We'll actually get the Numenorian stuff like properly. I think we're going to see this whole civil unrest between the Queen and I forget his name, the other craft guy.
Pharazon?
Yeah. There's obviously going to be the whole kind of splitting of Numenor's peoples on who's faithful and who's not. So that's going to be super interesting. I'm looking forward to that in season 2.
What surprised me was we didn't get confirmation that Elendil's son is alive.
Yes.
Just he has to be alive.
He does.
So I thought they would tee something up as like, here you go, this is the start of one of the stories in the next season, like as a cliffhanger. But they didn't, and that kind of surprised me.
Yeah, though I'm not too, because it was very clear that they were focusing on that. To me, going into this final episode, the two things I wanted was a Sauron reveal and who the fuck the stranger was, and we got both of those. I feel like them leaving things like Sildar and stuff being unknown is good things for season 2. Leaves those things open to kind of tie in. I'm trying to think, because there's also like the people of the Southlands. They don't know that Halbrand is Sauron. So is he going to rock back up to them and be like, "So I'm back. Your king's here."
He could forge the rings himself, and no one would question him.
Well, he potentially is going to Mount Doom to go. That's where he forges the One Ring on his own. But he, Gillen has, or at least going by the books, Gillen is the one who crafts all the rings. So I think for season 2, they're going to do something where he shapeshifts and he's either Anatar or a different character and he returns and he influences the other rings being made. And the way that they get more mithril is they offer these the 7 rings to the Dwarven Lords, and it's like you can have these rings of power in exchange for the mithril. And then the 9 for the men, they'll be to like unite all the men and all that stuff. I something that is a nice like look back detail is if you think back to when Halbrand, they capture Adar and he says, "Do you remember me?" to us, we were all like,
Oh.
oh, what's he done to his family or something? Like, who's he killed? No, he's talking about, do you remember the fact that you just killed me and I'm back, but you don't know that I'm back because I'm in a different
Oh,
form.
yeah, Adar was telling the truth. He did kill
Yeah,
Sauron.
he's back in a different form. And at the moment when Adar's in the barn and his Halbrand's leaving, he's like, who are you? And there's like that pause. Like, I wonder if he's like getting some weird like sense off him of like like he's more powerful than he's letting on or something.
Oh, that's a good spot. Can you explain to me why the different races get different numbers of rings?
So the three elves, the people that get the rings is Galadriel, the High King, and is it I think Brimbor wears one. And then the High Kings ends up going to Elrond.
Yeah.
That's just because they're the three like most important people on the elven side of things. The dwarves, I think there's just that many dwarven lords. So there's
So each of
Durin.
the dwarven lords got one.
Yeah, I think because if you remember when Durin was speaking with his dad, there was those two dwarven lords there, also like offering their opinion on things. I think the fact is that there's Durin the king and 6 others that kind of make up kind of the government of dwarves, I guess.
Yeah.
So they evenly just spread it out to the 7. And then for men, I don't know if it's because I think there's 9 like lords like of men, I think is how it's something to do with like the fact that like they make sure that they're trying to balance power essentially, so no one's like, so they're trying to evenly spread them. But obviously men are very easily corruptible, dwarves are greedy. But the elves rings were made without Sauron's influence, so they can't be influenced by the One Ring can't control them. But obviously if the elves put on the One Ring, that it'd corrupt them, because whoever wears it gets corrupted. I was a bit, well, as expected, nothing came of the Balrog.
Yeah, it seems like just a wink. It was very much a Chekhov's gun. They've loaded it and done nothing with it.
Which I'm fine with this season because it was so late in the season. My problem with that is going to come in season 2. If we get all the way through season 2 and nothing comes of that, it's going to be like, why the fuck did you show it? There was just no need. I'm trying to think if anything else happened in the finale. It's been like a week. I think like we've kind of covered everything, but overall, I enjoyed the finale. For the whole season, I actually really enjoyed the season, and it was a little bit slow in places at the beginning. I get the Tolkien hardcore fans that really hate the fact that they've skewed so far from the books. I get it. My only thing to those people is the amount of hate you've given this season might have cost you ever getting anything of actual Tolkien lore like approved. Like those fans in quotation marks that have shit all over Rings of Power need to realize and be okay with the fact that they might have just cost themselves ever getting the Tolkien estate to allow anyone to make anything.
Yeah.
Like, had this been a blaring success and they accepted, and the fans had like been open to this and accepted it with more open arms, Amazon could have gone back to Tolkien Estate for season 2 and been like, look how successful this was. Do you want to let us use a bit more of the Silmarillion so we can write this better?
You could, however, make an argument for the flip side. If the Tolkien estate sees how unhappy people are and they go to Amazon, okay, we're willing to give you a little bit more of it so that you can make what the fans want. There is a chance. Don't get me wrong, I agree with you that it's more likely to be they're even less likely to give stuff away.
Yeah.
But there is a chance that the Tolkien estate has a bit of sense and goes, oh, fans would like it if you could use everything, so we're willing to let you use everything.
Yeah, there is that part to it. My worry is
And
just like,
Amazon will pay the money as long as it's not stupid.
yeah, Amazon will more than happily pay the money. Yeah, I really hope the Tolkien estate doesn't completely shut off like even future projects, like,
I agree.
because overall this has been a very enjoyable season and new venture into the Tolkien world, visually and like from a cinematography point of view, absolutely stunning across the board this season. Like they've done some incredible like VFX and just some of the shots, especially the landscape shots and stuff that they've done, like beautiful. So I'm looking forward to more.
Me too. I've greatly enjoyed it. And it's been nice having a show that I know very little about and I can just be a bit done with and go, ooh, this is fun.
I've
Anyway,
enjoyed riling up the haters. So
this brings us on to Andor episode 7.
yes, we.
I am in love with this show.
Oh,
It is everything I have wanted from the Star Wars universe.
nice.
And every week it continues to deliver. So shout out the people who worked on this show because while I'm sure some people don't like it because Star Wars fans are never happy. As far as I'm concerned, this show is a goddamn masterpiece.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it as well.
Yes, it's very, very good.
We got the, I guess, fallout of
Yes. And
the
we got to see more
heist.
stuff on Coruscant.
Yeah, we returned to Coruscant. We got a lot more of an insight into, I guess, the political side of things.
If the showrunners are listening, find a way to sell Disney on the idea of doing a show set completely on Coruscant, where
Sims.
you just you follow the life of someone working at a higher echelon, a normalish citizen, and then a like proper street urchin.
Yeah.
There's a story to be told there revolving around their three lives intertwining. Find it and give it to me. Yes, fans won't like it. I will love it. Give.
To be fair, we may end up back on Coruscant with the Ahsoka series.
That's a good fucking point.
She spent a bit of time down in the slummy bit.
She did. Let's hope so.
But episode 7, I really enjoyed the kind of getting to see the reaction of the Empire.
Yeah,
and how they react to like this first big kind of rebel, which obviously at this point they're not seeing it quite as a like full-on rebellion.
They're like, oh, this is some disgruntled people. We will make everything tough. This is a robbery. Crunch down on this. Yeah. These are criminals, not rebellion.
And getting to see kind of like the more of the inner workings of the Bureau and the little inner politics between that woman and I can't remember their names. The female and male
the other guy.
They're butting heads. And how at the end of that meeting she absolutely outplays him. And then the head guy's
absolutely like, shit on you, scrub.
Head guy he's like, well played. Now watch your back, because everyone at this level wants to take out the other person and raise higher, because that's how we're all wired.
Because we are all absolute cucks.
Yeah, and we're all power hungry. Also, like the little nod to Palpatine.
How
he's like, I've had a meeting with Emperor Palps.
What a name drop, by the way.
Just be I know. Now, are we gonna get to see him?
I fucking hope so. Let's be perfectly clear. There is basically no need for us to see him.
No.
That being said, if you have the opportunity to show Vader, you absolutely always show Vader.
Vader or Emperor Palpatine, like they could quite easily just sprinkle him in at the end or something.
I can very easily see there being more rebellion shit getting out of hand, and Vader arriving on Coruscant and going, "The fuck is going on here?"
Yeah.
And choking out someone in front of everyone just to show the the rebellion, while it starts at the ground level, obviously we know there's a couple of people inside the Empire who are aiding people outside. We saw that in Kenobi, and we've seen it again here. At a slightly higher level with the officers, Vader comes in, chokes the fuck out of someone. That gives a perfect opportunity for all the other officers to go, holy shit, we are the bad guys, and then start working with the rebellion.
I like that idea.
And as we know with Vader, you don't need to give him a lot of screen time. He can be there for 2 minutes.
Well,
and the entire fandom will collectively go, yes, thank you.
Yeah. And I mean, they've proven with the Obi-Wan series, like they are very good now. They've got the hang of how to show his power on screen. So they know what they're doing. Yeah, I think it'd be very cool if we saw Vader.
100%.
We also got a bit more of the whole Mon Mothman.
I'm enjoying seeing early days of Mon so much. She's like a background character in the original trilogy that you recognize, and like they've kept her style almost identical. So she's a recognizable character instantly. But in the original trilogy, she just kind of spoke a fair bit, but you didn't really know what was going on, why she was so important. So to see like the early days of her still being a senator, and then during this episode making the decision, no, fuck this, let's rebel, it's so much fun. I'm really enjoying it.
Obviously, we were waiting to find out who this person is she wants to bring in. And then we obviously got introduced to her childhood friend or something. I really like the way that they kind of talked around the fact that he was quite clearly going, I think my political tastes are a bit far out for you.
And the way he said that was to try and protect her. He was like, if I speak openly about what I believe, I get in trouble. I don't want you to get in trouble as well.
Yeah. Not knowing that she's probably further out than him.
Yeah.
And then
you agree with the robbery. I fucking bankrolled it.
Not that she was happy about that, though.
No, I didn't realize she knew so little about that. It was cool to see her reaction, though.
Yeah, her reaction to that, and Luthen kind of shows that Luthen
is more of an extremist.
Yeah, like
he knows the Empire's got to go no matter what. Mon wasn't quite there yet.
Mon wants to like build it under the radar.
Better.
She wants to do it under the radar and kind of like change it from within. Whereas Luthen's like, no, this is a rebellion. Like
it's almost like sometimes the government is doing such a bad job, no matter what you want to do, and the fact that it could potentially be prepared from inside. Sometimes you need to just blow it all the fuck up and start over.
Too real, getting too real. This is a podcast too real.
It might be a little bit on the nose, but I think it's something that can probably resonate with a lot of people.
It's fine. But lettuce lasted longer. What? But yeah, seeing like Luthen's reaction versus Mon Mothman's, and then getting to watch her like secretly mingle in a party under her husband's nose, who I feel like he's getting suspicious.
Yeah.
But it could just be he's very much typical, like
maybe
one of them.
Yeah, maybe the show's just trying to make us feel like he's more suspicious than he is, so that every time she's having these conversations, we're like, she's going to get caught, just to build a bit of tension.
I think it is that. It's going to be... I like how she was like, oh, I'm going to set up a charitable organization and you're going to have to come to Coruscant for meetings every so often. So then eventually we're going to get them two properly talking about what the fuck is going on and what she's actually trying to do. We got a bit of insight. Cassian went home, as I thought he would.
Yeah.
Back to Ferrex.
I love him, but he's such a dumbass.
Oh, dumb play. 100% dumb play.
How does this man survive until Rogue One?
Well, honestly, I don't know, but I kind of knew he would, because he was obviously wanted to pay off his debts, which is what I said last week.
I don't think he realizes quite how deep in the shit he is.
Yeah, I don't think he quite realizes not just him deep in the shit, like actually how big of a deal it was that robbery was. Like to him, it was just a job. He got paid. It was a robbery. Like, yeah, they're talking about some rebellion thing, but nah, I got my money. I'm out.
Yeah.
I think also the fact he wanted, I forget what his adopted mum.
I'm pretty sure he just calls her mum. I've forgotten her name as well.
Yeah.
I can find her name if you want.
Well, he obviously wanted her to go with him, and I like that she was like, no, I'm done. I'm done running away. Like she's wanting to start a rebellion. And she's talking about how like this robbery is a call to people to stand up.
Yeah.
And Cassian not telling her that was me on that job. Though I think that'll get put together eventually, that she'll figure it out or whatnot. The time skip.
Marva,
that's it. The little time skip where he obviously accepts she's not going with him and he dips because he's got to get off planet. And then we just end like the time skip to just some other planet where he's
Miami. It was Space Miami.
Yeah. I was just like, or Space Monaco. It's one of the two. Yeah, that kind of threw me off a bit. I was like, have we jumped a big chunk of time? I was like, is this back in time? Is this
I just kind of took it as like a month.
Yeah.
Enough time for him to get there, find a home, and settle down a little.
Yeah. And he's hiding his money in a box above the shower. Typical.
Very, very secure.
Yeah, typical bounty hunter criminal activities to be doing stuff like that. I love how he's just like he's running down the beach and then just he's the one that gets caught and questioned.
Did you get really excited when you saw the KX unit as well?
Yes. I was like, oh, it's a KX unit, and I was like, one of these is going to be defective, or like one of these is going to become
K1.
Is it K1 or K2? I can't remember.
Oh my god, I don't know now. Rogue One.
I had in my head it was K2, but it might be
K-2SO. K-2SO.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, when the first one
says,
of
my favourite droids of all time.
Isn't the first one just a KX or something?
Yeah, it just says it's a KX unit.
I was like, is this K2? I was like, is this the one?
I did really enjoy. He said like, keep an eye on him, and he's like, hang.
Yeah. I know he's like, hang by him or something, he says.
Yeah.
And he's like, hang? So then he takes him, he's like, no, tell him it's not hang, and you're just being by me. Being choked out. But then we see like the fallout of what his job did, which is there's tougher penalties now. And he's like, what would have been a 2-week thing is whatever, 6 years.
6 years, yeah. 6 months
6
became
months,
6 years.
Yeah. And he's like, what the fuck? I'm just a tourist.
I love how she's like sorry as well. She's like, oh, that makes it even worse. Please come back.
Well, she didn't give a shit. She's just doing a job. I think we're going to see Luthen find that out and break him out.
Well, yeah, I mean, he sent someone to kill her. She's going to find out that he's been put in prison. And she's going to be like, oh, we have a problem. He's been arrested.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, oh, shit. They're going to find out about everything. So they're going to break in to try and, like, kill him or whatever. And he's going to be like, no, don't kill me. I'll come fight your rebellion.
Oh, yeah, that, like, meeting with the two... So that was the... I'm right that was the shop girl.
It was the shop assistant and the blonde lady who ran the heist.
Yeah, the blonde girl that ran the heist looks totally different.
Yeah.
Obviously,
she went from looking like a forest person to trying to look like an upper-class Coruscantian.
Well, she probably used to dress like an upper-class person and probably down-dressed to be undercover sort of thing. But I thought that was like... I'm like, is Luthen in charge or is the shop assistant in charge? Because...
I mean, I think it's Luthen. I think he sent her out of safety.
Did he though?
Yes.
That
was my take of it. it's too dangerous for you to be seeing him right now, so he sent me.
Yeah, but she could have just been saying that.
Maybe. I
I don't
think
know. It was just
Luthen's
like
the biggest guy we've seen so far.
probably you are
I
probably
do
right.
think
It's
she is
just
like second in command.
yeah, she's
I think she's above Mon.
yeah. Well, yeah, she knew about the heist and everything. So, that was a very cool like little scene of her just power walking through, and we're like, "Where the fuck are you going?" In such a like urgent manner. Um, but that means also with the girl from the heist being there means they've got the like money off Will and like so it's banked away. Like she's got everything back. I thought this was something I thought. I thought Cassian was going to give his mum the Rebel Manifesto thing when she was talking about rebellion and stuff. You know, the little book he got off the kid.
Yeah.
But I think I'm trying to think what else, if anything. Oh, we got the upper class guy, the security.
Serial killer dude.
Yeah, getting shoved into just a bullpit, basic ass job. He's like he's in this great building and he's talking him up about all these like, oh, you can be part of helping discover information, blah blah. Blah. And then he goes, oh wait, what's this on your record that you got in trouble for something? Oh, you can have the shitty department.
Yeah. No, all of them equally important. Some might seem more exciting, but they're
yeah. Here's the boring oil thing.
yeah.
We've got
What was it? Fuel quality assurance.
Yeah, he's like, we have an opening right here, and there's just like one empty cubicle, and you think, what happened to the guy that was in that chair?
Yeah.
And then we obviously he was in like his brown suit, kind of doing his show offy thing, and then we see him at the end where he's in uniform, and he's just another one of the general workers now just sat in his vendetta against Cassian because he's put him there. So he's not done. He's definitely going to try and overachieve at his job and get himself in trouble again. I'm trying to think.
100%.
I think that's everything that kind of went down the episode.
Yeah, that's
Interested to
everything
see where
major.
it's going because obviously we're going to get Luthen trying to help Cassian, and
I think a lot of the next episode is going to be prison fun of Cassian working out how to not die in prison, and the rebellion realizing Cassian is in prison and they need to either kill him or get him out because he knows too much.
I think Luthen's going to offer him get out and join us. Actually, join our cause. Like, here's a second chance to do something bigger than like rotting in a cell. And there's obviously going to be some like he's got to persuade him somehow. Eventually, something must happen that persuades him.
Yes, because like by the time we get round to Rogue One, he's like pretty devout.
Yeah, he's all
rebellion.
in on shit.
Yeah. He doesn't strike you as someone who's like doing it because he's being forced to.
No, he's full in
But
on
it's fun to like know the beginning and the end and work out what it takes him to get to there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm wondering if in the prison break, that's where K2 comes in.
Maybe.
Because he
Also,
K2
I've
got damaged and he rebooted him essentially. If I remember.
I've just realised.
Go on.
So we had the flashback from when the Empire first took over by the looks of it. And that guy says, Cassian, stay here, don't get involved, let them just do their marching and their flag.
Yeah.
Was that the guy that helped Marva rescue him as a child?
Yes.
So that was probably who he thought of as a father, who definitely got executed in front of him.
Oh, 100%.
Do we think Marva's going to get, and that's what's going to finally convince him to join the rebellion?
Oh, possibly. That or his ex-girlfriend. Maybe she also goes.
Maybe all of Ferrix just gets lit. What if Ferrix is a fucking Death Star test? No, it can't be because the first time they fight in A New Hope that we know of. I guess they could get away with it, but
I think it'll be more like they'll just crack down on Ferric.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure did they not tease Death Troopers in the trailer? I can't remember.
Yes, I think they did.
So maybe Death Troopers rock up on Ferrix and
Just torch it.
exterminate mode.
Maybe.
So yeah, there's still a lot to kind of come with Andor, but I'm really enjoying it.
Me too. This brings us on to our second character profile of the week. You guys are so spoiled. With Black Adam coming up, I wanted to get one more Black Adam character profile in, and it is on Atom Smasher, who we also saw in the trailer. He's the big guy. So let's talk about him. Atom Smasher, aka Albert Rothstein, first appeared in All-Star Squadron number 25 all the way back in September 1983.
Oh.
About a week after Hori was born. He's at this point you have had 19 different birthdays.
Yeah, I really have on her.
He is the grandson of the reluctant villain Cyclotron, sorry. By reluctant villain, I can only assume it means he stole because he had to feed his family and not because he wanted to take over the world.
Yeah.
But he is the godson of the Golden Age Atom.
Okay.
Who was Al Pratt, which is where his A name and good versus evil alignment seems to have landed.
Okay.
After Black Adam, as we said last week, reformed after fighting Shazam a number of times, Black Adam joined the JSA. He proved that he was a good guy, and they went, okay, you can come work with us. And while on the JSA, him and Atom Smasher became very good friends, with Adam considering him as the brother that he never had.
Oh, how cute.
However, Adam is still an anti-hero. So Adam used this relationship to kind of destabilize Atom Smasher's belief and conviction in the JSA's very strict morals, i.e. hurting people and killing people and stuff like that. So using that, him and Atom kind of pushed back on the JSA to allow them to be a little bit more forceful. Which obviously they were like, no, we are heroes, not murderers. At which point Adam and Atom then went, right, fuck you, then we're off.
Oh.
And then as part of that, they kind of helped each other with their vendettas, I guess. With Adam helping Atom kill his godfather's murderer, I believe. Don't quote me on that one, though, that might be wrong. But I know for a fact that Atom Smasher helped Black Adam overthrow the new dictatorial government of Kahndaq.
Oh.
By any means necessary.
Bro's taking over the world together.
Yeah. Atom did kind of resolve a bit of his internal anger during this and kind of worked with the JSA a bit. Once the government had been overthrown and they needed to restabilize Kahndaq, the JSA kind of arrived like, okay, this is like a whole ass war. What the fuck's going on? So they kind of worked together a little bit then. But it'll be interesting to see how that gets portrayed in Black Adam, with it being very clear that large portions of it are taking place in Kahndaq and such like.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
But he's a cool character. I'm always a fan of characters who, like, their thing is just being big. It's fun. I don't it's a very juvenile thing. I just love the idea of them going, right then. Yeah. It's the same reason when watching Power Rangers we went nuts when they got into the Megazord.
It's morphin'
and they
time.
Combine, and you're like, oh my god, look how big it is. It's two big monsters punching shit out of each other. Yeah, let's go.
When realistically it was just two average looking guys on a miniature set.
Or even more realistically, it was two big action figures on a tiny set made to look huge.
Do you want to know something funny though? I knew nothing of Atom Smasher. I don't really know much about the whole Shazam stuff.
The JSA is proper old school stuff, to be fair.
But when I read Atom Smasher, my brain read that as Adam Smasher from Cyberpunk.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I took that a whole different way just
Oh,
then. I thought you assumed it was going to be Black Adam's like secret boyfriend.
no, I took it as Adam Smasher from Cyberpunk
So
because
I'm getting through more of the show on
Edgerunners.
Netflix. I'm really enjoying it. It's so fucking good.
It's
I
so
can
good.
already tell it's going to break my heart. I can just see it happening already, and I'm not looking
it's,
forward to
it's
that.
fine. You'll
But it is. I think I'm through. We'll say 3 episodes just to be on the safe side, and I
okay.
really enjoyed like seeing the afterlife and seeing Rogue and stuff like that just in the background. I'm like, oh, it feels so good. This is awesome. Like a huge fucking nerd. It's like, yeah, that was put there for that reaction, but I'm gonna nibble on it. It was great.
They've now added in like I guess they called it a mini DLC sort of thing, an update that is that you can now get Lucy's apartment, and there's a lot of
Oh,
other
really?
like there's a lot of things that obviously like you could go in the game and you're like, oh, this is the location from where this was, but like you couldn't go in the building or something. They've now opened
Well,
up some of those spots and like actually connected it more.
I think it's episode 3 where like the entire thing is like a montage of like 12 different things happening until the end. But the bit where him and Maine are sitting there drinking, that scrapyard, I'm pretty sure there's a mission where you have to infiltrate it and kill a bunch of guys there. Just based on the way they had the like boxes lined up, I was like, I'm pretty sure I killed a bunch of guys here. And it's just really cool that it can even have me thinking that while watching the show.
Oh yeah, there's once you've finished it, there's like a video. There's videos of like all the locations matched up.
Oh, that's really cool.
It's really cool how close they've
It's a
matched
lot
up.
of hard work that has gone into that.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's before you even get into how good the actual show is. Like, ignoring the obvious fan service, the show itself is fucking phenomenal.
yeah, great story.
Anyway, I think it's time for us to go our final thoughts on Black Adam before it comes out. I mean, today, as you're listening to it, you might have already
Yes,
seen it.
you might have done.
I myself am going to see it on Sunday.
I don't know.
Horry is going to see it.
Typical Horry behavior. Most likely gonna watch, and I'll be surprised if it's before Wednesday.
Horry will go see it.
I will see it.
That's all we can tell you.
I will see it before we record. How soon before? No.
That's anyone's guess.
Yes. Got more chance on the lottery.
I've been very open and honest about the fact that I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has too much power in this production.
You have.
That being said, I don't think he's had any more power in this production than Ryan Reynolds had in Deadpool. And that film went off beautifully. I think Black Adam is a complex character. I think he can be a very well put together character. And when you throw in other not as well known characters like Dr. Fate and Atom Smasher and Hawkman, you have the opportunity to create something really special.
Agreed.
I do not think we are going to get that very special thing.
Ooh.
I do think we're going to get something that is very watchable and proves as a bare minimum that DC can make something watchable. And while that might not seem like a lot, they've struggled with that a lot.
Yeah.
I do not want the success of this, however, to give The Rock power over characters he's not playing. Because The Rock, when it comes to how strong the person he's playing is, has a much bigger ego than Ryan Reynolds does.
I don't think he will. From my understanding with this film, is it's more similar to how Ryan Reynolds was so adamant in getting Deadpool made, and like just that he was so just focused on that character. The Dwayne Johnson has the same to Black Adam. Like he's talked about how it was one of the first comments he read and stuff.
Yeah, he's been working on this since like 2006.
So I don't think it's necessarily like he wants to get like he has any ambition to kind of produce DC films. I think it generally is like he just wanted to get Black Adam made. And that's come with like the power over this film he's got has come with like he's been the one that's pushed for it to be made.
I get that. My concern more comes from DC Life Super Pets. He voiced Crypto in that, and the
Yeah.
post-credit scene of that film is him voicing Crypto and John Krasinski voicing Superman, meeting Black Adam voiced by Rock, and Anubis, his dog, also voiced by The Rock.
I So yeah, that the whole super pets thing is weird. I also think that's partly down to the writers. I bet one of the writers was like, do you know what would be funny if we have The Rock talking to The Rock? And like just having voice, like someone definitely was like, this will just be a funny thing if The Rock's voicing all the
And
characters.
I don't get me wrong, I do think part of it was trying to build a bit of hype for Black Adam, which I get.
Also
It's
that.
their only real film this year.
I think it was a
But
weird mix of
it just
marketing and trying to be funny and
it puts a seed of doubt in my mind
I can get
about
that.
how much power he could be given, especially if this film becomes a raging success.
I don't know if it'll be a raging success. Like
What
the
I
way
will say, oh, go on.
the way I'm thinking is like, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be better than most of the DC films that we've had previously. Things like Wonder Woman and the
Batman vs Superman.
Aquaman and all that. Yeah,
the Aquaman films were very good.
I will give Aquaman its.
Or Aquaman film was very good, and the first Wonder Woman was apparently phenomenal. Second one was apparently garbage.
Yeah, the second one was so like DC.
So like, there's just not enough dubs.
I just don't. I think it'll do well. I don't think it'll be like the Batman, like the new one, Matt Reeves. I don't think it'll be that level of good. I think it'll be for DC. It will be a W. I don't think it's a Marvel level W.
What I'll say is in the 2000s and the early 10s, when superhero films were still quite young, I think this film would have been one of the best.
Yeah.
Problem is, because we've had so many films at this point, we expect different things, we want different things, because otherwise it gets very repetitive. I don't know if DC have had enough time maturing to make something genuinely different. And as a result of that, I think we're going to get something that we go, I would have enjoyed it 7 years ago.
Yeah.
That's like a ripe concern I have.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good superhero film and a good film in general, but it's not going to be anything special. And it's going to feel good and like very good because of how bad some of the other DC films have been. So we haven't really got a very high bar to beat. Yeah, we could be surprised.
It's phenomenal.
We could be very surprised, and it actually turns out to be the story side of it could be done a lot better than we're expecting.
And it has got my golden stamp as of right now. With the critic review scores on Rotten Tomatoes, it is not doing very well. It's right around that 50% mark, which for me normally means it's a good film.
Oh. Well, we'll find out.
So there is also that.
Next week, we are either going to have Connor saying he was wrong and Dwayne did a great job, or you're going to have Connor going, can we never let this man touch anything ever again?
You're going to have me being as unbearable as I am when I'm right, going, I fucking warned you.
Basically, if we don't talk about Black Adam next week, you know it's not gone well. If I've barred Connor from talking about it.
But this brings us on to the Nerd News Network segment.
Yes.
Now, Horace should not be surprised by any of this because I did send him the news.
You did.
He's not updated it. He's not read it.
I have read over it. I had to... This first one, Tom Ellis.
Yeah, you had to see who that was.
Yes, because I'm terrible with actors' names and actors' faces.
Yeah, that's fine.
Immediately knew who it was. And for those that we don't... Go on.
So there are rumours that are just run all over the place this week that Tom Ellis is apparently being interviewed, discussed,
put in the
considered for the role of Reed Richards in the MCU. Now, you know how I feel about rumours for castings. Normally, I don't give them a lot of weight.
Yes.
I'm giving this one a lot of weight for a couple of reasons.
Oh. For those that are like me and don't know, Tom Ellis is Lucifer.
Lucifer?
Lucifer.
Lucifer has already been in the MCU.
That's a different show. I meant Lucifer.
That's Idris Elba.
Yeah, sorry. Lucifer.
He is Lucifer, which is one of the reasons I give this credit, because Lucifer is a DC comic character, that version of Lucifer.
Yeah. And it's a great show.
So he knows how to work. Yeah, he knows how to work in this. He has also done a lot of work for the BBC, including being in Doctor Who all the way back in like 2013. In the 2-part episode where we see the Master with David Tennant and Martha, and he's like the doctor that Martha worked with before Reverse in Time.
Oh god, yeah, ages ago.
Yes, yeah, I'm a fucking loser for remembering stuff like this. I don't expect anyone to remember that instantly, but hopefully it's fresh your memory. The MCU has a long history of working with actors who've done a lot of work with the BBC and a lot of work on Doctor Who, and that is because they know how to be professional.
And they like the British.
British actors always do well in the MCU, especially good-looking British actors, which Tom Ellis is. I missed it by that much. But so that's why I'm willing to give this a lot of weight. His career has followed the right trajectory for Marvel to go, I'm willing to give him a shot. He's a very good actor. He consistently does good work. He's worked in very professional productions for a long time with no bad press. That is what they want. They want people who are going to turn up, work hard, go home, not cause any problem. And he does look right for the role.
Yeah, that's something I can see him as Reed Richards.
Exactly. So what I don't give casting rumors a lot of work, a lot of
weight.
Lot of weight normally. This one particularly, I could very easily believe. And I don't think I'd hate it. I'll be honest.
I wouldn't hate it.
However, I've never heard Tom Ellis try and do an American accent. That would be my only concern. Reed Richards cannot be made British.
I'm sure he can figure it out.
He's a good enough actor. He'll have time as well. He can probably learn.
Yeah.
The next Marvel casting rumor, which I'm putting next to 0 weighting, although I'm very damned to see it, Sacha Baron Conan is apparently going to be Mephisto.
Yeah.
While I am 100% down for this, there are 2 big reasons I'm giving it 0 credibility. I think Mephisto is a meme at this point, and we're not going to get him for a long time.
Yeah.
They've missed a lot of their good opportunities to use him for now, so he's probably not going to be used for a long time. The second one, Sacha Baron Conan isn't exactly Disney and Marvel family friendly.
No.
This guy rocks up in their country and trolls their politicians. He's done stuff like Ali G in the House and The Dictator. This is not stuff that conservative American parents who Marvel, while they'll have gay characters and stuff, they still want to keep them happy. If they find out that Sacha Baron Conan's in one of the films playing the literal devil, no fucking way can they sell that.
Why do I feel like this rumor has originated from someone who sat there like going through actors being like, who could play Mephisto? And they're like, who would be the best person to portray a devil to the Americans? The person we hate, one of the most hated people in America.
I just don't see it. I think he'd do a very good job. Don't see it. I also think he'd be a bit too goofy, and that would piss a lot of people off.
Yeah, it's a bit too out there. And I feel like it's just someone having a bit of fun generating that rumor.
The only reason I even mentioned it is because I saw so many news, or I say news, the Twitter guys who normally are pretty on the nose A lot of them were talking about hearing this rumor. So I thought it was at least worth mentioning so that you guys know we do keep on top of this stuff. I am not giving it a lot of weight, however.
No. I'm sure in a couple more months there'll be someone else.
Yeah. Now this one I'm mentioning more out of hope that it's true. I saw it mentioned somewhere. I haven't actually double checked it, so let me kind of semi double check it as I'm talking about it. So Invincible's coming up to one of its anniversaries.
Mm-hmm.
And they're announcing a bunch of exciting things for it. One of the things that's expected to be announced in the coming days is the release date for season 2 on Amazon Prime. Apparently, though, it's been announced, confirmed, leaked, rumored that they're making an Invincible video game. I'm
Interesting.
so fucking down. Make that shit graphic, make that shit fun, and let's have at it. That could be a lot of fun. I hope it's true, and I hope that it is on its way. Invincible video game.
I have Googled it. It's only like a week old news, so apparently it's in development. I guess we'll wait and see. Many games have been in development and get axed anyway, so...
Yes. Yeah, October 12th, Invincible video game officially in development.
That could very easily just be
it
someone
could disappear
filed something
into the ether.
Yeah.
But they do have a deal with Amazon.
And Amazon Game Studios is the thing.
For the TV show. It's not that outrageous for Amazon to go, hey, we're working on like, I'm pretty sure season 2 and 3 have already been like commissioned.
Mm-hmm.
With 4 and 5 expected. So it wouldn't be that much of a stretch for Amazon to go, hey, we'd like to make money from video games. Would you like another $150 million or whatever the going rate is for us to be able to use your IP in video games? And then they will have gone, yes, okay.
Well, I mean, there's Amazon Studio, like they have their game studios and their game engine and everything, so very good chance that they would develop it themselves.
Yeah. Now, this next one is very scary news for my concerns that I already have surrounding Black Adam. Walter Hamada has stepped down as the president of DC Films.
Now,
a power vacuum at the top of DC Films when a DC film is coming out with one of, in my opinion, I'm sure he's lovely, one of the biggest egos in film right now, is concerning to me.
So I read this and I was like, my thought behind this is, do we like, I don't know the details of why he is no longer president, if he was forced to step down or chose to step down or whatnot. But we talked a few weeks back now about the fact that DC was kind of working on putting a plan in place. And I wonder if this is part of the plan, is they need a shift in management, leadership, shift around at the top of who they want kind of heading the ship. And I don't know if I don't think it'll be The Rock, as I think you're seemingly worried.
No, I'm not too worried about him being made president of DC Films. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they might put someone in that position who The Rock is agreeable with, and therefore The Rock has heavy influence over.
I don't think, because I would imagine they're gonna I think this is part of their like 10-year plan that they rumored to be coming up with, right? I think this is them being like, right, we need to start fresh and we need someone to head things like the way Marvel has Kevin. We need our strong like person at the top to kind of guide where the fuck these films are going.
Well, then why do I not have an email?
Because you've shit on them too much. Who takes up? I don't know who takes that position, but it's a power vacuum, but I'm hopeful in the sense that maybe this is the start of DC kind of realigning where they're going, and let's hope they put someone decent in that spot.
Yes.
Just shove Matt Reeves in.
Shove Matt Reeves in.
He's proved himself the most. I don't know who they get, but whoever it is definitely needs to go into that with this, like, we like to get this ship steered right, because DC has no direction at the moment. What the fuck's going on? And they really need to figure that out. And hopefully this is part of the start of that.
Hopefully. The next one's quite exciting news.
Yes.
So, very sadly, in my opinion, earlier this year, William Hurt, who played General Ross in the MCU, passed away. And it was well established that he desperately wanted to play Thunderbolt Ross, Red Hulk.
Yeah.
He was very open that that's what he was holding out for. He was like, I will fucking play this guy. And then, unfortunately, like, quite suddenly this year, he passed away. So everyone was kind of like, okay, where does that leave us then? And we now have an idea on that. Harrison Ford has been cast to take over as General Ross, and is almost certainly going to become the Red Hulk. Especially with all the extra Hulks that are being added into the Marvel Universe at the minute.
Yep.
I cannot wait for a new generation of people to idolize Harrison Ford for playing a character just for him to not give a single fuck about us as a fan base.
Yeah.
As lifelong Star Wars fans, we have seen all of the clips and the memes of him being asked stuff about the Star Wars universe and him going, I do not give a fuck. I don't know. Stop asking me. All the time.
Exact same with Blade Runner as well.
Yeah, exact same Blade Runner. He's like, I turn up, I act, I go home. I do not give a single fuck. I cannot wait for the first poor journalist to go, oh, so what comic books did you read in preparation for this character? And him to go, fuck's a comic book, you fucking nerd.
I can't wait for him to they'll be like, so how did you end up getting this role? And he'll just be like, Marvel paid me. They offered me the bag. He's just like, they showed me the money.
An absolute fuck ton of money.
They showed me the money. I said yes. So he's gonna meme the shit out of it, and I'm all for that.
And it's gonna be really funny to see a whole generation of fans go, "Oh my god, they've cast someone who doesn't even care." Especially when on the other end of the spectrum, you've got like Amani Valeni playing Miss Marvel, who like adores the MCU. I just need an interview for whatever project of them two sat there together answering questions.
I wouldn't surprise me if he's just like, it's going to be that divide of like Star Wars fans are also Marvel fans are going to be like, here we go again, same shit. We're prepared for this. We so like him. For it. We're fine with it. And then the new fans are just like you say, are going to be like, surely they should get people in that care about the franchise.
But you know what would throw me off even more, and I think would actually upset me, if it turns out he fucking loved this character.
Yeah, if he turned around and like, I've been always told Marvel if they wanted to recast.
Yeah. Imagine if it turns out that this is like the one character in all of fiction that he actually gives a fuck about, and he's like, I have every comic book that he's ever been in. I love this guy so much. I think that would disappoint a lot of people. Han Solo fans would be throwing their hat on the floor.
I figured that there's no chance of that. It's definitely like...
Neither do I. But how funny would it be, though?
Do you know what this is? This is his retirement plan. This is him, 100%. This is him going, Marvel's making a lot of money at the moment. I can get a good lump of money in a role that's not going to be too intense. Like Indiana Jones. Or, it's just a lot of CGI. Yeah, I think that's... And, I mean, he's going to do a great job. Harrison Ford's great.
He's professional. It's that simple. He's a fucking pro.
He'll do a great job. And I'm glad that they haven't, like, just scrapped the character.
So am I.
And that they did decide to kind of recast and stick with it. So,
and the last bit of our Nerd News Network for the week, Coven of Chaos is due to start filming next month, apparently, according to Catherine, who plays Agatha.
I am ready for the leaks to begin.
Yeah.
I give it a month after it starts, so we get like 4 set photos.
Yeah. But I mean, it's cool to know that it's like starting filming.
Yeah.
Especially with all the delays going on. It hopefully what that means is because of all the delays, because they want to release stuff in that order.
Mm.
They start filming stuff when they were supposed to anyway,
Yeah.
and that hopefully gives more time for post production, so that any CGI issues can have more time to be done properly.
Well, it's also like, yes, release dates are getting pushed back, but like a lot of these productions will already be penciled in. We'll already have contracts like with these companies and VFX companies. Like, yes, the release gets pushed back, but at the end of the day, like stuff's still got to stick. Like stuff's already going to schedule, and if it isn't being affected, like if there's no reason it can't still start at the same time, like they're just going to get things going because they've got like we see how many films they're going to be putting out. Like it's better to start getting on top of stuff
100%.
like it's better to have a film sat on a drive somewhere ready to go like a month before it can be released. So
Agreed.
yeah,
Agreed.
it'll be
Agreed.
good.
Agreed. And that brings us on to our superhero showdown for the week. Ba, 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 ba.
With a great, well-known character.
It is Ultron versus the Demogoblin. Standard rules apply. Nothing I don't normally have. The lowest seed gets an advantage, in which case that will be Demogoblin. And both characters are bloodlusted. In this situation, I have a proposal for the advantage Demogoblin has.
Oh, so do I.
Okay, well, we'll see which one we prefer and think is fairer. Ultron is shut off from the internet.
Okay.
Therefore, he can't use the in-universe internet to read news articles about the Demogoblin and work out how to attack him.
Mm-hmm.
He can only go based on his onboard memory, which we don't know how much it is. He might only have like 1 terabyte of hardware.
No, I'm pretty sure he's got more than that. My proposal,
yes.
I don't know how much you looked into Demogoblin and his
I looked in a
origin,
bit. I had a gander.
but there is kind of 2 stages to Demogoblin's origin.
I assume this is where you were going, yes.
Yeah, so there's a point in his storyline lifespan where he ends up taking over the mutant. Shriek.
Yeah.
Taking over her body and gaining her powers. So my proposal for advantage was that he gets all that stuff.
Okay, do you have written down what them additional powers were?
Yes. Sonic Beam, Dark Empathy, so they can control people's, make them evil, essentially, and Telekinesis.
Okay, I'm down.
I don't know which is... I feel like the cutting... I don't know if cutting Ultron off from the internet is like too severe of like a... I don't know.
It depends what your assumption is of how reliant Ultron is on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, are we saying he has like literally like he's a glorified book and he has no internal storage and he's just like, oh shit, I forgot how to move.
Nah, he... Yeah, I don't know. I mean...
We just limit him to like megabit internet. Slow download speeds. He's like,
he's on dial-up. He has to...
Demogoblin gets a phone call and he just collapses. No, I'm okay with Demogoblin getting extra powers. I do prefer advantages that actually go towards the person instead of just trying to nerf their opponent.
Yeah. So we'll do that. We'll do he has full form of... Now, I think we should start off by... I know Demogoblin's very well known. Obviously everybody knows him. But for those obscure few that don't, people that don't know who Demogoblin is, because it was my very obscure pick, he started off as Hobgoblin, who then essentially sold his soul to a demon lord, Nashtiri. I don't know how to say that name. They internally fought. Demon wasn't happy. Demon ripped himself out of Hobgoblin's body and became Demogoblin, and essentially mimics himself off of Hobgoblin and Green Goblin, and has a bunch of powers. And then, as we spoke about, he at one point takes over the dead body of Shriek and gains all her powers.
So although I didn't really do too much reading on Demogoblin before seeding people, I think my seeding's pretty fair of him still.
Yeah, I maybe would have. I guess he could have maybe been a little higher, but I'm trying to remember who else was in that group. But
I can tell you who else was in that group. We had Agatha Harkness, Rhino, Kingpin, Juggernaut, Ultron, Red Skull, and a Super Skrull. The only person in hindsight I might have had him above is Red Skull, and Red Skull's only like number 7. So he would have gone up maybe one spot.
Yeah, but so Demogoblin has his superhuman strength, speed, or all the usual attributes that become superhuman, which is pretty good for him.
A standard.
Yeah. His magic manipulation is basically just he creates his own version of the Green Goblin stuff.
Yeah, the Green Goblin like tech, like the pumpkin buns and stuff, is just magic based instead.
And sort of evilly Halloween demon-y themed. Like he has a skeleton glider, and yeah, he likes to use Green Goblin's style of equipment. Though he can just blast heat out of his hands. I think it's weird because like his sonic beam stuff that we're giving him, and obviously telekinesis, and he's going to be able to affect Ultron in certain ways and definitely do damage to him. But we're talking about an AI mind here.
We're talking about an AI mind that is made of adamantium and is by himself an Avengers level threat.
Yeah.
He doesn't get tired. He is very strong, very durable. Demogoblin is like a 1, maybe 2-time villain.
I think Demogoblin tries using all his normal shit. He's like, fuck, heat hands. That does the only bit of damage because it's magical energy. And then Ultron's like, now I know your strongest attack. I can counter you.
Ultron humors him for a little while, then gets bored and crushes his skull. It's
and sets the soul free. It's a cool, fun. Like I thought,
it was Hori doing what we should do with these brackets and having fun with slightly more obscure characters. Did you come up with Ultron or did I?
I can't remember. I think
you came up with Ultron as well.
So I just
you screwed over yourself.
I screwed myself over and had my own fun little bracket. You know what? I'm going to advocate for it now. Bring Demogoblin into live action. Let's bring some. Like, give us a demon-formed goblin.
You know what, though? I'm 100% down for the Midnight Suns to have to fight Demogoblin.
Yeah, that was something when I looked up about him. Like, he often fights with Ghost Rider, and he obviously Hobgoblin and all that. So maybe they could.
Maybe we can get him.
If we can call back to this clip, maybe one day, and we can go, look, we Marvel,
we knew, know.
You were listening. We know you were listening. Kevin,
don't forget to tweet at Cutscene Convos # live action Demogoblin.
Kevin, please make sure you like so that we know you're going to use our idea. Yeah, cool.
Awesome. So that's about it from us. Demogoblin gets absolutely smoked by Ultron, but he did try his hardest.
Yeah, and I mean, it is Ultron, so.
Thank you for coming and hanging out with us again today. We love having you here every week. If you are on the audio platforms, make sure you leave us a rating. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and comment. That's about it.
Quite a week next week.
If you are going to go see Black Adam, I hope you enjoy it. make sure you get large popcorn for me. And we'll see you next week with Andor episode 8 and the review of Black Adam.
Yeah, and we're back to like no shows.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Maybe I'll do a full-on character profile of Demogoblin next week.
I feel like I feel like I've already covered all of it. I don't think there's anything I missed.
I promised them two characters. It was like, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, we literally gave a third. But yeah, appreciate all the listeners. And we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.